Howdy, folks.
Hi guys, it's Jen here today, and it is Wine Wednesday, and we're in the Wine Garden once again, and I am joined today by Randy Hester, and we are really excited to have you here. We've just actually opened one of his bottles. Randy is the winemaker for one of our Blue Ribbon selection wines this year. So, for those of you who didn't catch Wine Wednesday last week, catch you guys up. Every Wednesday we're going to come to you from the State Fair Texas Wine Garden, and we're going to showcase a few of the Blue Ribbon selection, as well as just kind of talk about the wine industry in general, because Texas wine is a very important component of agriculture here in Texas, and this is our opportunity to kind of showcase that piece of it. Any day you come to the fair, there's 3 different windows back here that rotate, and you can actually taste different wineries. But if you go down to the Blue Ribbon selection table, you can actually, there's 12 wines that were selected in a competition that we did prior to the fair. It was a blind tasting with our friends at the Texas Wine Advocate that helped us execute this. And these are the top 12 bottles of wine that were part of that competition. And Randy's wine, which is a Tempranillo, 2015 Tempranillo, was actually one of those bottles that were selected. So you have such a fascinating history. And you are part of you're not just a winemaker, you work in the vineyards, and you're part of that component. So you decided in 2006 you were going to move to California and go take an internship and become part of the wine industry in California.
Right. It was it's kind of my early midlife crisis.
Okay.
Pick up everything that I know and love and take it to California, learn to make wine at the highest levels. The goal was a 10-year plan to bring that back home, bring that back to Texas, be listed with the best wines in Texas, and try to do something really cool for the state.
So I will say, I am one of those people who go out there every time I take a trip to wine country. You do that late afternoon, one of those days going, what can I do what if I quit my job right now and I moved here, what could I do for a living? Is that kind of what happened, or did you always have an interest in wine?
It's kind of, that is what happened. It's kind of what can I do to not make a living?
Okay.
My internship, I was $12 an hour.
Okay.
I was 37 years old, 36 years old, making $12 an hour. When I got hired full time, I was $14 an hour.
Okay.
So
and that internship was at Cake Red. So it is actually one of the big, people know that winery, and it is a really well-known winery. So
yeah, it was a great start. I was very fortunate to be picked up by Cake Red.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you actually have 2 labels. You have a label out in California called Lightning Wines.
That's right.
And you not only do you manage the winemaking and the production, but you also oversee the vineyards and the growing of the vineyard productions for that.
That's right.
So where is the vineyard located?
So we pull fruit from all over Northern California.
Okay.
So my closest vineyard to Napa is about 2.5 hours drive.
Okay.
So that translates here to Texas. I drive all the way to Lubbock often to work with our growers, to work with our winemakers. So, but the vineyards in California come from all over Northern California.
So we're pulling, and Lightning is specifically, you were focusing on Grenache.
That's it.
And so why Grenache? What was it that drew you to Grenache?
Well, after Cake Red, I was fortunate enough to land in the cult cab world.
Yeah.
These $500 bottles, 5-year waiting list, this kind of thing. The 10-year plan was always bring it back home to Texas, where we do Mediterranean varietals very well, including Grenache, including Rome varietals. So I knew, although my path could have been in cult cab, I knew for my training, for my future, I needed to know Grenache, I needed to know Syrah, I needed to know Picpoul Blanc, and all these Rome varietals, and that's what I chose to do.
That's amazing. And so the label that you have here is, say it again, I can't say it. CL
Buteau.
Buteau. And it's named after your great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather, my Papa Frenchie.
Awesome.
Yep.
So that's a really nice amount. And then here you're focusing on Tempranillo.
Yes.
And then you have a blush as well as part of the offering.
Yes.
Which is out of Madeira. It's been one of those days. It's day 13 of the fair. I still can't talk.
She's been drinking wine all morning.
Well, not yet.
The first one was Mourvedre. this year, last year, and going forward, it's a blend of Grenache Blanc, or Grenache Noir, and Picpoul Blanc.
Oh, so the blush will maybe change depending on what fruit you like and what you're seeing come in. And
That was the outcome of a vineyard that was coming to maturity, and so those vines were planted for us, and we will hopefully be able to use those.
keep doing that.
Yeah.
So you'll look at expanding the offering as you go.
Exactly.
Awesome. So looking at the difference between California and Texas growers and working with the vineyard managers there, what's the difference you're seeing? Because right now, I mean, the Texas Department of Agriculture was here last week, and there are more and more acres that are being converted over to wine for grapes. So what do you see? What trends are you seeing? And how is that different than what you're seeing in California?
Well, California is much more established.
Yeah.
So where they started doing, they look like we look today in the 60s, early 70s. And so, and the other part is as important.
Which is like where everybody considers the start of California wine, right? The 60s
Right.
and 70s? Yeah.
Right. I mean, obviously they were doing it for a long
Yeah.
time, but so when they started to be recognized around the world, that's about when things started happening. The farmers that we have here in Texas growing grapes, they are for decades, for generations, they've been growing commodities such as cotton, sorghum, peanuts.
Yeah.
Huge. Grapes, premium grapes for wine production. It's a more hands-on approach, and it's for a premium product, so it's not a commodity. And so that right now is the biggest difference. There's no lack of motivation for learning.
It's just a different.
It's a, and we only get 1 year to do it.
Yeah.
You know, once a year. If we go make funnel cakes and we mess one up, we can make them over and over and over until we get them right. And we've only lost a few pennies. With grapes, we have one time a year to do it, and then we have to wait a whole year for our next opportunity. So the motivation is there, and the execution is catching up.
So let's talk a little bit about, so these are 4 of the wines that are in the Blue Ribbon selection. These are last week we talked a little bit more about the different blends that we have in here, and these are all more single. So we have 2 Merlots, one's from Kiepersol, one's from Becker, and then we have a Cab from Trilogy, and then your Tempranillo. I like this because when you go back and look at these there's a family element to a lot of the wines that are in the Blue Ribbon selection. They're all about family, and they're all out of estate growth. So they're growing the grapes and making the wine in the same place. And all of these. And Kiepersol's from Tyler, Becker's from Hill Country, Trilogy. Oh, I'm blanking on Trilogy. I believe
Outside
is
of Lubbock.
Yeah. So we have a couple of High Plains as well as. So what drew you to the fruit up in the High Plains?
Well, the High Plains is special. It's the fruit coming out of the High Plains is as good as any region on the planet.
Okay.
So it's not Bordeaux, it's not Napa Valley, but of all the other regions that you can think of, we're able to grow fruit that well on the High Plains. It doesn't have anything that makes it distinguishes it as being from Texas, anything negative, anything like that. These wines could be from anywhere on the planet, and so that's what I want to do. Not only do I want to make great Texas wine, but I want people outside of our state to know that we can do this as well.
So what makes the High Plains is interesting because I spent several years in Lubbock going to school there, and it's gravelly, it's sandy, it gets hot during the day, it cools off. I mean, people don't necessarily think about Lubbock as in the High Plains as grape growing, but it really is comparable to a lot of the really great grape growing regions, right?
It absolutely is. And the reason I think a lot of people don't know a lot about Lubbock is because it is so far away. It is away from everything. And so how many people actually get in the car and go to Lubbock? So it is legitimate. It is, it's
most of the marketing team here at the fair does. We have a lot of people who went to Tech. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you know that, when you know it's a drier climate, when you know it's warm in the days and cool in the nights, the rain is at a minimum, that's fine. And by the time that area gets their freezes, the vines are dormant, so it's fine.
It works out great.
Yeah.
Plus, grapes like to struggle a little bit too, right?
They
They like
need
it
to
when
struggle.
they need to struggle because a little bit more of the struggle, the better, the more fruit and the more concentrated.
Yeah, because if they're happy and things are going well, they're growing big green canopy.
Yeah.
We don't need big green canopy. We need delicious fruit. We need fruit that has flavor, fruit that has concentrated aromas and color. So we don't need the plant to be really happy. We need it to be a little bit pissed off at us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see where outside of Lubbock, in the middle of all of that would
Right.
definitely do that to them.
Right.
So, what are the things that you're seeing? You're out there in the industry. You're actively looking for grapes to make wine out of and fruit. What are you seeing? What should somebody, if they've never tried a Texas wine, look for in a? Is there a way, where like maybe Napa's known for cabs or things like that? Is there something that Texas you think is going to be known for in the next few years?
Well, if Napa is Cab, Sonoma is Pinot,
Pinot.
I think Texas is Tempranillo.
Okay.
And of course, there's other varietals being grown in Napa, other varietals being grown in all regions. There's other varietals being grown here in Texas. I think Mourvedre is going to be a good one to come. I think Tannat has been having a moment. I don't know if it's going to have staying power, but those are three big red varietals that I think are going to do really, really well.
Those are ones that if you're out there buying wine or looking for wine at a store, don't be afraid, because you may not know them like a Merlot or a Cab, but they're great ones to try.
Tempranillo and Mourvedre.
And Tempranillo is one of those that like pairs with a ton of different things.
It's so
Everything
easy.
from pizza to barbecue. I mean, you can pretty much anything where or just drinking it on the porch, like at a beautiful porch like this, just having a nice glass of it.
So do you have any suggestions for what fair food you would pair with?
Oh, so we're getting asked pairing
Fair
fair
food.
food. What about you think
answer.
smoky?
Smoky for sure.
So like maybe a turkey leg or something like that. That would be an interesting.
Absolutely. So I always tell people so Spanish dishes.
Yeah.
So like a chicken thighs with like an olive and prune
Okay.
sauce, like fall flavors like
Okay.
that. So any of these like richer stews and soups. So if that translates here, yeah, absolutely.
So turkey legs. I would say we did it a couple weeks ago on Tasting Tuesday. We did some gumbo and some stuff like that in the
Done.
Tower Building. I'm trying to think of anything that's stewy like that. I think the turkey leg might be a really good pairing for you.
Is it by doing duck confit?
No.
When do you get
No,
that
they're not.
prepared?
But there is a fried spaghetti and meatballs. We could potentially look at that, maybe.
Done.
Right? That'd be great.
Done, yeah.
Any other if you guys have any other questions, let us know. Jesse will let us know. So, what
I
do you
think
guys?
in addition to the Tempranillo and Mourvedre,
Yeah.
Texas across the board pretty much does excellent white wines.
Okay.
I think there's so many good white
White
wines
wines?
in Texas. There's a lot to be done to make good reds.
Yeah.
But white wines, we've got it. We know the climate we're trying to hit. We know the foods we're trying to hit.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bunch of great whites. But again, go for the Rhone varietals, Mediterranean varietals,
Yeah.
such as Marsanne, Albarino, wines.
So again, the ones that you may not necessarily know right off the hand if you're kind of a wine novice, but don't be afraid of those. And if you are at one of the area stores, ask for suggestions
Yes.
for some great Texas wine. And plus, next week on Wine Wednesday, we have 3 whites and a sparkling that we'll actually be showcasing. So you can have that. And one of them is actually from West Texas. It's called, the sparkling's called West Texas Boyfriend.
Oh,
So,
yeah, farmhouse.
as we are actually going to taste Randy's wine. Cheers. What is somebody looking at when you're?
So wine, so red wine in particular, tends to be getting dark in color, darker and darker and darker and darker. And I think I try to keep my color natural. So if you get a wine that's super, super, super dark,
Yeah.
it better be a really dark varietal,
Yeah.
or it better be a natural red or purple
Yeah.
color. Aroma, so if we're gonna sit here and chat, I like for the aromas of my wines to come right out of the glass. I like us, like, if that hits my nose, it's gonna make me want to take another sip of wine.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Plus, as I'm taking in the smells of the wine, it's getting me more ready to drink the wine.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
Tempranillo in the mouth It needs to be a bigger wine,
Okay.
not overly oaky. So you want some smoky components. You want some vanillas and cinnamons and caramels, things that you get from oak barrels. But you want the fruit to shine. Tempranillo is a beautiful kind of brambly, great tasting varietal. And so you want a bigger wine, you want dark fruits, and you want like meat and
Yep.
stew and
Well, this is
wild boar
actually
ham.
completely perfect for the weather right now.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, you should be at the fair right now. It is cool and crisp. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's absolutely beautiful. And this pairs perfectly with that kind of fall. So, you know, we are really glad that you joined us today. This is 2015. Does that mean you're aging that before you release it, or did you release this? What's your approach
This
to...
is the current release.
Okay.
I do like to age wines properly. I like to give them their natural lifespan. My wines are typically about 18 months in barrel,
Okay.
so they're aging slowly in barrel and coming together, kind of like when we cook
Yeah.
a gumbo or cook a
You
stew or
want it to-
something. When you first put everything together, it's kind of off.
Yep.
You can eat it in 30 minutes, but
It's
give
not
it
going to taste as good as if you eat it.
Give it 6
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
So that's what we're doing with the in-barrel aging. From barrel, after I bottle, I still age it another 10 or so months. It needs to settle back down. It needs to really come together. It's kind of like when I bottle it, it's that point after I've cooked it for 6 hours. When I open it after that 10 months in bottle, it's
Yeah.
like getting those leftovers the next morning, and they're even better. So yeah, I age my wines very well. 2015 is the current release. Yes.
So what else do you have coming down the pike? What's releasing? Is anything releasing this year? Anything?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Yeah, so we have the rosé coming. It's
Yeah.
the Grenache Noir Picpoul Blanc. I have Mourvedre coming.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I finally found a Mourvedre grower that I kind of like-minded grower. So we seek the same goals of a premium
Yep.
red wine. I have a barrel-aged Albarino coming, so it's a white wine that's typically very limey and very acidic, very crisp,
Yeah.
kind of a shellfish wine. I'm making my Albarino in barrel, and it's going to be a little creamier, a little fuller in the mouth.
That
Yeah.
sounds interesting.
So I'm really excited about that wine. And then I have a new label coming out.
Another one?
CL Buteau is my Papa Frenchie.
Okay. Do you have
So-
one for your rear?
We're doing Papa Frenchie.
Okay. Oh, fun.
Yeah. So we've had an artist draw his picture. That's going to be the front label, and it's going to be a different set of wines. So
Awesome. Well, we will definitely look for that. You can find your wines in a lot of restaurants in town.
Yes.
So look for those on the wine menu if you guys are out, or you can come down to the fair and try his Tempranillo. So
clbuteau.com.
yeah, or find them there as well. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much
We're
very
gonna, it's time for us to sit down and enjoy the rest of this. We want to see you guys out of the fair today, and you know why? Because it's Wednesday, which means it's $4 if you bring 4 cans of wine and donate it to the North Texas Food Bank. Huh?
You said 4 cans of wine.
4 cans of food. Yeah, the food bank probably doesn't want your wine. So 4 cans of food, $4. Well, I've only had a sip, so that's bad. 4 cans of food. You get in for $4 today, all day long. Come out and join us. It looks like it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And then don't forget Thursdays or Thirsty Thursdays where we have discount food. So, and you can get in half price when you bring that empty Coke bottle. So we will see you guys later. We'll see you at the fair. Enjoy.